In this module, we learn how to retrieving data using the SQL statement from Oracle database. However, the SQL statement, all the SQL statement is universal and it's similar to any other form of database. Let's go and connect to Oracle database. I'm attempting to using the PuTTY. So double click on the PuTTY and we're going to load the Oracle database. Load. Click on open. And it's going to give us a Unix operating system with this IP address. We're going to put the user and password. Let's connect to Oracle database version 11 that we have, and it is csnwhccs.edu. Click on the open. This is the environment that we set it up together on when we attempting to connect to using PuTTY to connect to Oracle database or to Linux. I'm using the DE45A01. This is the Unix connection. And then I'm entering the password. What you're going to do, you're going to connect to csnwhccs.edu, and from right here I want to connect to Oracle database. So this is the second step, is connection to Oracle database, SQL PLUS, and I'm going to putting a password. Let's consider I'm going to using DE45A01. But because this user and password belong to different user, so all the user, they cannot connect to the same user ID. I'm going to give you your user and password when you register for the course and the Oracle database is up. Normally I post you all the user and password on the first week. And also if you have your own password and nobody watching that one, you can use the same your password. In this case, my password I'm using, this is a default password, but I will change it. As a result, you're going to connect to Oracle version 11.106, and at this point is the process that I can execute a SQL statement. Now, this SQL statement that we have, this is a language which we call SQL language. This SQL language, you use the select statement. All the retrieving start with the select statement. The asterisk space asterisk mean all the column available on the table departments, and right here you have the follow-up select all the column, which is asterisk, from, again that's reserve word, from department is the name of the tables. So if we're going to copy this code and execute in this one in our PuTTY environment, you're going to see that I'm going to write the way that you can use in the PuTTY. You can copy from right here from your this is statement, right click copy, move it to PuTTY, and right click on the PuTTY and it display the code. And result, you're going to see that we have 7 rows in the table employee departments. And those rows, they all consist of, let me go to the top row. So this is this or a statement. This is a select reserve word, asterisk mean all the column, from reserve word, department or table names, and semicolon is mass when you're using the when you're using the PuTTY. You have to use the semicolon that it mean or a slash, forward slash, it mean execute that statement. So as a result, it display all the department ID, department name, manager ID and location, and so on. So you're going to see we have 7 rows. The next statement, we're going to learn how to retrieve the specific data that we're looking for. So in this lesson, we're going to learn the capability of the SQL statement, and I show you a basic SQL statement that we execute. The next one that we're going to learning the arithmetic expression and null value in the select statement, column alias, and use all the concatenation operator, literal character, string, and just name it. In this example that we use select asterisk from department table, really we did a projection of all the column. But if I don't want to pick up all the column, only I'm looking, for example, in this view, I would like to select department ID, department name, and location ID, only 2 column or 3 column. Then we have to selecting, let's consider column 2 and column 4 of the table department. We would like to select this, project these 2 columns. So we have to change our select statement. Let's look at it. So if we do select asterisk from departments, or we do like this one, select department ID, department name, manager ID, location ID. Let me remove this one, location ID. From employee table, the output from department table, I should put in this one, department table. From department table, this query generates the same result. But when you know you would like to pick up all the column of the table, you can do select asterisk. Or in this example, or if you want write this format, it is also possible that you can select department ID, department name, and location ID from departments. But in this 2 example, you're going to see when I do a projection, and in this projection I would like to only pick up the column number 2 and column number 3, the concept is different. So I would like, I don't need this column, and I don't need the 3rd column, which is this one. Only I would like to pick up a projection of department name and location ID. And I may execute the same select statement, go to my PuTTY and execute it right here. As I said, in the PuTTY, when you try to execute, I have an arrow. Let's see what is my arrow. As you can see, it's complaining about the from department. Probably we didn't completely, it didn't get us, but I copy and paste it the same format again, and it works. So it is only the projection that you're going to see right here. The projection is only on the 2nd column and the 4th column in our select statement that we did right here in our PuTTY. So we did it, the projection, and projection that you see right here, it is from, let's list that one. This is L stand for listing, and now I can use also slash and a slash. When I have a query in the buffer, I can execute it and press a slash and you're going to execute it. And you're going to see in the projection we only picked up the, in our projection we picked up the department ID, the orange one, the 2nd one, and the 4th one. That's what we selected. Now selection is reverse of the projection. Selection row wise, we would like to pick up only 2 employee, all, or let's say all the employee which they belong to any specific department. Let's go try an example like that one. Let's consider that in the 2nd example that we try to do a selection only the employee which is they belong to any specific department. In this example, I show you that the department ID is equal to 90. So we're going to highlight, copy this content, bring it to our PuTTY, right click and execute it. And you're going to see this time it retrieve only employee, that information about the employee that they belong to the department 90, and as a result we have 4 selection. So that's the difference between the selection and projection. We have another option which we call it join, and joining the content to remove information from multiple tables, which we call it join. The basic syntax statement for a select statement is as follow: select asterisk or select distinct, which is the unique column expression from a table. This is the format that we use, the same syntax format in the above example. Let's run the same example with the PuTTY and see what is the result. Result should be exactly similar. I hope that I have a connection in PuTTY. Let's see. I'm going to use the E45A25 connection, and I'm going to copy the select asterisk, or let's say we do the select the other option, which I put him in the text notepad, and I'm going to selecting only this selection, not the projection. And this is the SQL area. Then I'm going to right click, paste it, and then asking to execute, and the result generated right here. So you're going to see that result is generated right here. This database is generated 2 columns. You only have 2 rows of the data in this table. So in one database we may have more resources than the other database, but we may copy the same data, it generate the same output. So don't make mistake when you generating your script. You may not necessarily to return database returning the same number of rows that you have in your book as you have it in the database, because our data set that we have is totally different than Oracle database data set that when they print in the books. So we run an example like this one too, or let's consider run this one in the PuTTY. We can also run this statement in the PuTTY. Right click, paste. I did wrong. I did it copy. And right click, paste, not copy. And as soon as I paste this SQL query, then I'm going to execute, and you're going to see the output of the query. So here is the selection example, and here is the projection example. Here are the rule and regulation when you try to write a SQL statement you have to follow up. Let me show you a couple examples. I cannot abbreviate the reserved word. I cannot use the select statement in any other purpose or abbreviating that one to ST. However, I can use lowercase, uppercase, mixed case. So it is Oracle is not case sensitive on the, but the column name or reserved word is not case sensitive. I could have a statement in one line or multiple line. I may put this one in multiple line. Again, Oracle is not case sensitive. It is not sensitive about that you put them in one line or more than one line. So you may put your select statement in many different lines. However, you cannot have a space between the line. If you have one space or more than one space, most of the time Oracle reject that one. So if I execute any of this statement, let's execute in the PuTTY. PuTTY is simpler. I execute in the PuTTY, you're going to see the output is similar. And if I execute this one also, you're going to see the output is similar. So it generates an output 70 rows in the selection. We spoke about SQL Developer, but in the old data set you're going to see that also I ran an example for SQL Plus. SQL Plus is a client side that you have to install it in the client side application, and you can, through that one, you can access to Oracle database. But it's much more enhanced and much more resource space in need in your hard drive if you try to use a SQL Plus. Let me show you a SQL Plus example, but we won't use this one. I recommend all of you to use PuTTY. PuTTY is much more simpler than any other let's say tool that you try to access to Oracle data. Here's the example. This is another operating system. Here's the example of SQL Plus icon. You click on the SQL Plus icon, and then you're going to put your user DE45A25, let's say password DE45A25, and then you're going to put HCC 10G, and then it allows you to connect to Oracle database. The next example, we try to use a column alias, and also we try to use distinct. Let's go look at the example. In this projection example, I can rename the column. If you notice in the example that we ran right here, it's going to just display the department ID, department name. How about if I want to just rename this column to display as ID? I can go back to my SQL statement and I'm going to say call this column ID, call this column name. But if you notice, you have to put a space and one word. You cannot have a space between the word. If you would like to put a space between the name and word, you have to put in the double quotation name of. This is also possible. And let's consider this is ID. I would like to name this one MGID. So if I have this example, I can copy this one, copy and bring it in the PuTTY and paste it in the PuTTY. And you're going to see as a result it changed ID, name of, the same format that I use. If you notice it, I put name NA uppercase and ME lowercase. It follow up my format and MGID. So that's what we call it, column alias. There is another option that we call it distinct. Distinct means do not display for me duplicated row. If you notice it right here, we have 7 rows and maybe some of the row repeated. Let me show you another example so you can see the repetition. I'm using the alias to just name location, ID to be location, and when I execute this statement, you're going to see definitely I have a lot of departments that they have same department ID name. And when I execute it, it generates 70 line of code. See accounting, let's go ahead, accounting, and you're going to see government, you're going to see some department. They should be repeated, same department repeated over and over again. So by using the distinct, I'm going to remove the duplicate. If you notice right here, we have 70 rows selected, but if I'm going right here and put a word distinct, it's going to remove all the duplicate. By putting a word distinct right here, I put the word distinct and I copy this one, move it to my PuTTY, execute that one. Now you're going to see the query return 28 rows instead of the 70 rows that I had right here. So distinct means get rid of the duplicate rows and only give me a copy of each row, not any duplicate.